Hi YouTube, this is Julian with another jazz piano tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about tritone substitution. Tritone substitution is one method of reharmonisation, and it's a good way of taking old songs and giving them a new edge. Okay, so tritone first of all is this interval. It's exactly halfway between the octave. It's C to... Okay, so it's a diminished fifth and it's an augmented fourth. Both intervals are the same thing, just spelt differently. And you find this interval in many chords, but you find it very prominently in a dominant 7 chord. So in C7, this is the tritone. E and B flat, they're tritonal apart from each other. They're an augmented fourth away from each other. So E to A is a fourth and then augment it is B flat, or E to B is a perfect fifth, diminish it to the B flat. So that's the tritone. That's the tritone in C dominant 7. I'm not playing the fifth there. The cool thing is that tritone is also the tritone of another chord, another dominant 7 chord, which is F sharp dominant 7. So the C dominant 7 and F sharp dominant 7 are tritone apart. And on the C7, the E is the major third and the B flat is the dominant 7, so like the flattened 7. On the F sharp, E becomes the flattened 7, B flat becomes the major third. Although you'd actually spell it A sharp. So C7 and F sharp 7 share the two most important notes which define the chord. E and B flat, the tritone. So what you can do is you can substitute, when you see a C7, you can substitute that for an F sharp 7, and you'll still have the defining notes, but then you'll have a different sound. So this is C7, that's F sharp 7, slightly different sound. And this is a great way, as I say, of taking old jazz standards and giving them a new sort of modern edge by changing the harmony. So how this would work in a 2-5-1. This is a 2-5-1 in C major. So you start on the D minor, D minor 7, G dominant 7, C7. But what you'd say if you wanted to tritone substitute, you could only tritone substitute the dominant 7. So D minor, instead of G, you'd think, what's a tritone away from G? Tritone away from G is D flat. So play D flat dominant 7 instead of G dominant 7, whichever voicing you're using for that. So D minor 7. It's also quite nice because you get a chromatic bass line moving downwards. Now some standards already have tritone substitution in them to start with, and I thought a good example would be Girl from Ipanema. At the end of the sort of A, you get just about C, my left hand, you got a G minor, which is the 2-5-1, it's the 2 of F major, which the piece is in. And instead of going to C, which is the 5th, C, instead of going to C dominant 7, which is a bit of an obvious sound, a bit of a cliche sound in jazz, slightly less cliche is if you tritone substitute the 5, which is C dominant 7, you tritone substitute it to a tritone away, which is G flat dominant 7, or F sharp dominant 7, whichever way you want to think of it, and then to the F. So a great way of practicing this is to go through jazz standards, go through the chord sheets, And every time you see a dominant 7, try substituting it for the dominant 7 a tritone away. Sometimes you will have to change the notes in the melody to make it fit with the new chord. Sometimes you won't. Going back to Girl from Ipanema, here's an example. Start on F major. I think the second chord is a G dominant 7. So what I like to do is I tritone substitute it, the second chord as well as the chord coming up, which I've already shown you, which is already a tritone substitution. And of course I've had to change the notes in the melody because the original was this. But I prefer this. So that's 2 tritone substitutions. Another example, jazz is great for this because there's 2-5-1s everywhere, but say Misty. You've got a 2-5-1 here, you've got B flat minor, E flat dominant 7 to A flat, so that's the 2-5-1. B flat, E flat's dominant 7, A flat major 7. So instead you go, now that's the B flat. Instead of E flat, what's a tritone away from E flat? A. So you got this chromatic moving bass line. You can change the notes in the melody if you need to. So what some people like to do is they go one step further. Not only do they tritone substitute the 5 chord, but they also tritone substitute the chord before that, which is the 2. So say we're in C, D minor 7, they'll put that to a tritone away, which is A flat minor 7. Then do the flat 2 dominant 7, which is the tritone substitution of G7, then back to the 1 instead of. So I hope that helps. Just try it out. As I say, go through chord sheets, try it out wherever you can put it in. Okay, this is Julian Bradley. Hope that was helpful. Alright, bye.